What are you doing? I see you have your glove. That is so cool. Hey, boys and girls, welcome to Uncle Bryan's Stories Worth Repeating, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I've got a great story for you coming from Uncle Arthur's Bedtime Stories, and I hope you're going to like it. But first, Otong and I have been having an argument. You could say one-sided. Hey, but before we talk about that argument, do you notice any difference between Otong or Uncle Bryan? Any difference at all? Any difference? Huh? What do you think? Who has more hair? It's always been Otong. You're right. Yes, always been Otong. He has more hair. But hey, do you see that Uncle Bryan's hair is back to manageable? No more crazy bozo Einstein look. So if you ever want to wonder what Uncle Bryan looks like from being in the lockdown situation with the virus and no haircut possibility, you can go watch the older videos and you'll see me with big hair like Otong. But hey, Otong, look, your glove. That's a nice glove, but you know what? My glove is better. I've been telling you, my glove is better. Can't you tell? See? Mine is so much better than your glove. Don't you think so? You don't think so? What do you mean? Well, boys and girls, wouldn't it be ridiculous if I were to say my glove is so much better than Otong's glove? Because they're what? They're the same. Exactly the same. Well, today's story is about a boy named Milton. And so Milton, okay, ready, Otong? Milton was in his house. And Milton always did the same thing. He would minimize. It's a big word. You know that word, Otong? You don't know that word. Minimize. Minimize means to make smaller. So like you're a bit smaller than the average Otong. I mean, orangutan. Okay, fine. You're a stuffed animal. All right, well, let's not minimize this. Okay, minimize means to make smaller. This is a very big, huge, wonderful, live orangutan. Yes, wonderful. Yes, I know. Okay, well, Milton, that's the name of our boy in the story, Milton had a bad habit, boys and girls. If his sister would come up and say, "Hey, Daddy, look, I've made this beautiful picture," and the dad would look at it, and he'd say, "Wow, what a picture! We've got ourselves an artist." And he said, "This is amazing." But no, Milton would look at her, and he'd say, "That's not a very good picture. No way, that's ugly." And his sister would say, "No, that's not nice. That's not true, is it, Daddy? It's not true." And their daddy would say, "Oh, no, that's not. Milton, why are you minimizing like that?" He says, "Well, it's true. It's not that good of a picture. She probably traced it." She said, "I did not trace it." And the father would say, "Milton, now please stop." And he looked back to his daughter and says, "I'm sure that you're going to be a wonderful artist one day." That's encouraging. But no, not Milton. He'd be like, "No, she's not going to be a wonderful artist. I don't believe it at all." Now, I don't know if he had a nasally sound in his voice, but let's imagine that. Because when someone talks like that, just kind of think, "I don't think they have a very nice thing. I don't think they'll do very well." Just kind of minimize it. Okay? Well, finally, Milton was doing that all the time. If he was in school and it came time for his baseball time, and he'd get ready to hit the bat, he'd hit the ball, and he'd be swinging, and if he hit the ball just a little bit, you'd be like, "Oh, look at that, it's a home run out left field." And just big stories for him. But if someone else hit the ball, boy, that's hardly anything. Just dribbled off the bat. Oh, what a pathetic shot. He was putting people down left and right all the time. If you got a test that came back at home, at the school, they'd be sitting in their class and be waiting for the test, and if he got an A on his test, it was like he got a PhD. He was Einstein. He was the super scientist. He just said, "Look, I've done an amazing job." And if his sister came home with an A, he's like, probably an easy test after all. Yeah, no big deal. Just always pushing people down. It was horrible. Oh, Tom, would you like to have a friend like that? No. No matter what you did, put you down. Well, finally, Milton's father said, "Milton, I don't know if you realize this, but you need to listen to yourself. You open your mouth and you pull people down over and over again." He says, "You don't want to be that kind of a person, Milton. Why don't you try lifting people up, saying something positive?" And Milton's like, "Well, I don't know if I can do that." You really think so? But in his mind, Milton was beginning to wonder, I wonder if I actually do sound that way to people. And so he tried. In fact, his sister said, we can start with me. And Milton looked at the picture again and said, well, I do like the color you used. And it was a positive thing. He said something positive. and for the next couple days, he practiced trying to say something good. Now, of course, someone would do something, and his first thought would be to think, oh, I can do so much better. And he'd stop himself, and he'd try to say, wow, that was a good hit. Or, you did really well in that test. And people would look at him, and they'd go, huh? What? Huh? They were surprised. And Milton began to realize, wow, it's sure nice actually lifting people up more than shrinking them down. And he began to change. And people around him, Otang, they began to actually like being around Milton more because he was encouraging. He would lift people up, not tear them down. Wouldn't you like to be someone like that? I have a friend once, I remember this one time, it was so amazing. As an adult, I said something that I thought for sure this person could say, oh yeah, I know that person. And he would have been wide open, easy to gossip about someone else. But my friend, I'll never forget it. What I said was easy for him to complain about or compare between two guys, but he paused and he wouldn't say anything mean. He simply said, yes, having those two men together gives us lots of room to grow. I was amazed. He could have gossiped, he could have pulled someone down, he could have compared, he could have minimized, but no, he encouraged. And it taught me a lesson. Yes, boys and girls, even old people like Uncle Bryan can learn lessons. It just takes a little while sometimes. And that day I learned a beautiful lesson, not to minimize, not to pull people down, and to be encouraging. So boys and girls, I know that some of you have been caged up in your house. You don't like the word cage, I know. Caged up, and you want to get out, and maybe sometimes your mouth has gotten a little bit loose and you've torn people down. Maybe it's easier to complain. Try not to do that. Well, just in your heart say, dear God, I want to be someone who speaks truth and encourages people. And you know what? As Milton continued to do that, he began to see that his sister actually did have some good talents drawing. And he would say, wow, that's a really lifelike horse you did there. And she was so amazed. She said, do you really think so? He says, yeah, maybe you will be a neat painter one day. And Milton began to change and grow. And you and I can continue to do that as well. So hey, so glad you joined me today. Look forward to seeing you next time. And how do you like my hair? Uncle Bryan out. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.